Hi, this is Sharpening 102 after the Sharpening 101 video. So there are two mistakes that people often make when they are sharpening and they cannot get a good edge. The less frequent one is when using these fast machines, grinding belts and anything that is overheating and destroying the tempering of the blade. The second mistake is not holding an angle when sharpening with slower tools. Both of those things are very problematic and are important to avoid. Let's deal with this one first. So in order to prevent your blade from overheating when using high-speed machines like this one, is to get good quality belts that are not going to overheat but remove material. Ceramic belts are good for very hard steels and there are different compounds, so double check that and make sure that you move the blade evenly, don't apply too much pressure and have some water for cooling it. There are also machines that can have controlled speed, not super high speed. That also helps avoid overheating and destroying the temper of your blade when it becomes soft and you can sharpen it to a certain degree, but it will not hold even a dull edge for very long. So that's one thing. The other thing is about holding the angle, and let me show you a few things. So what we're looking at here is the very cutting edge, the primary bevel if you like, so the silver part on this knife, and we're looking at it like upside down, so the cutting edge. So that's what we're looking at, the profile and cross section that is, and it is dull at the top, as you can see. That is the blue thing, the blue line, the outer line. One way to get the cutting apex so that the very top, the very apex is not flat but at a certain angle so that we can get some cutting. The fastest way is the red line. So we will make the angle a bit more obtuse, as you can see here, and remove very little material, just these sections here. That will be a quick and dirty way to get a tool sharp when you are working in the field or just want a quick sharp, but you still need to get it back to the original cutting edge, because the edge profile is what does the cutting, and if you get angle like this, it will not stay very sharp for very long. It will be stronger, tougher, but so that depends on your intended use, but you must be mindful. The other option is to get the angle to be a bit higher, so a bit sharper angle like this black line. In that case, you need to remove a huge amount of material, so everything in this area, and that can take a lot of time. Even if you're starting with some very rough sanding or sharpening materials that will remove a lot of material, you will still need to take more time and effort. Finally, the green line is getting the knife back to its original blade angle, and there you need to remove more material than our cheating red line, but still not a huge amount as we have with this when we need to make the angle be sharper. So for keeping the angle the same, this is the amount of material that we need to remove on either side to get our apex back and have back the cutting performance. That leads us to the biggest problem. So the problem that many people face when they are using hand sharpening, even with some aids or guides, whatever, is when they are not holding the right angle throughout the whole process, but doing slight changes with whatever it is, either if they are moving the knife against a stone or some file against a blade, like when sharpening lawnmower blades or whatever. So if you do not keep that constant angle, you will, instead of getting that apex back at your desired angle, whether you want to keep it the same or make it blunter or more obtuse or sharper, as I discussed earlier, but if you do not keep that angle, whatever you set to, and keep going until you reach the apex, then you will be making a very blunt, very curved. And let me show you something now. If we imagine that this is the cutting profile of our knife cross section, and we want to get it back to be sharp, if it's slightly dull here, so no longer cutting, and we can keep the same angle and keep grinding one side and the other and get it to sharp. But if we are making some moves at one angle, then alternating and alternating further on either side, we will be effectively making it rounder, and that is precisely the technique that is used when you're trying to use a file to get something to be round. So this is like a coarse sharpening stone, but the principle is the same. So if I wanted to get this to be round, I would in fact be doing just that. So without much pressure, I hope you can see how rounded and dull this has become surprisingly quickly with just a few passes. So I am doing exactly that, only exaggerating it. Instead of doing one angle then slightly different, I am on both sides in one stroke doing the angle alternation. And so on a lot smaller scale, that is exactly what you do when you do not hold the right angle, regardless of which one you chose. So even if you don't start with the perfect angle, that is less of a problem than not keeping that angle throughout your sharpening procedure and when swapping stones. So that is a basic thing to pay attention to when we talk about sharpening techniques and tools. If I had a cameraman, I would have done this in one take, like that Kaisa video, the hideaway, that was all recorded in one take. So I hope this helps you understand some basics, because for me at least it is important to understand why I'm doing something that I'm doing, not just do as I'm told. So I hope this explains the importance of keeping that angle. Those are very basic principles, and once you master those, you can get away with very basic, relatively simple, relatively cheap sharpening tools and ordinary steels to get good performance for your axes, lawnmowers, knives, whatever. And with a bit of luck, I may make some videos about sharpening after this, but I wanted to cover the basics. Thank you very much for watching. If you have any comments or questions, please use the BikeGremlin.net forum. And I also want to thank the generous people who support my work via Patreon. That I really appreciate that. It means a lot and helps a lot. So you can support my work on patreon.com/BikeGremlin. And that's it. That's the whole video. I will put in this video's description articles that I have preserved with very minor updates and edits made by more experienced and wiser men than me regarding the sharpening, knife steels and everything. So those will be in the video description, if I don't forget. And that's about it. And of course the other video, the Sharpening 101, longer one. Thank you again for watching. Stay cool. I'll see you in some other video. Cheers.